Welcome in on the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with men's head basketball coach Ryan Moody. Coach, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Dropped a nail-biter to William Penn last Saturday.
Yeah, it was a close one. Guys played extremely well. We were a little shorthanded. We took another injury with C.J. Vallejo having a concussion, so he wasn't even able to make the trip. But we did what we needed to do to be in the game. In fact, led for, I think, 36 minutes. I think it was a tie ball game with about 2 to go. We kind of junked it up, ran a bunch of different defenses, slowed the game down. We were very efficient, made shots, and in the end, they just kind of got a few extra offensive rebounds when they really needed them, and they're a very talented team. I was extremely proud of our effort and gave it one heck of a go up there. It's a tough place to play. Our first time up there, I think that matters too a little bit. First time you've been in a gym as a program, so proud of it. You know, we still came out with a loss, but I thought there was a lot to gain out of that game, considering the fact we started 2 freshmen, a sophomore. So we're getting guys experience.
How is CJ doing, by the way, with the concussion?
Well, he's on. There's concussion protocol nowadays where he has to be 24 hours symptom-free before we can get him into a 5-day back to play.
Okay.
And that began in time for we think Saturday coming up at home against Central Methodist. He did not play yesterday against Grandview, but he's progressing well and feeling much better. So concussions are a scary thing, as we all know.
Yeah. You said Grandview 81-68 loss last night. Sean Fleming step up, had 19. Christian Hatterley had 13. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought those guys played great. We just didn't have some energy. We've really had some ups and downs lately. In the last few games, we really played. We had a great energy and effort against Avila, and then we kind of came out and didn't have as much against Baker, and then we played really well against William Penn and didn't play as well against Grandview. And once again, I think a couple of things go into that. We're playing guys a ton of minutes that haven't played those kind of minutes ever before, and there's a learning curve there. And they're giving us everything they've got, kind of learning on the fly. New gym, first time we've ever been to Grandview. They shot lights out. We tried just about everything. They were making shots. I think they were over 50% from the field, and we just didn't. I mean, some of our best shooters got great looks. We ended up being 5 for 22 from 3, and the 3 is a very important part of our offense. Has been from the beginning, but even more now, kind of with what the things we're facing roster-wise. So, our guys never stopped. I mean, we hung in there, but we just didn't have enough offense and didn't get enough stops to really, get back in that game.
You had made a couple of adjustments, only 10 turnovers. You shot 75% from the line. Big part of that, Thomas O'Connor has been stepping up big. You said you got a lot of guys stepping up. He's been one of them.
Yeah, Thomas has played great. At William Penn last Saturday, I think he went for 24, 7 for 8 from the field, and then last night didn't shoot it as well as probably he wanted to, or maybe didn't get as many looks. But he's handling the ball, taking some pressure off Sean Fleming and Baquan Clark at the one, and gives us another ball handler, playing with a lot of confidence. The free throw line was great. We made 75% of them. We just didn't get there enough. And you want to get there a lot more when you're on the road than they did. And the officiating was consistent, and they were just a lot more aggressive than us. And I think part of that is we've tried to change the way we're playing, slowing the game down a little bit, and our guys are kind of trying to figure out how do we do that but still be aggressive. And that maybe that's part of our roller coaster, is really trying to figure out kind of how it was the best way for us to play. But once again, proud of the way they came out and gave it everything. We just didn't make shots, and that makes it's an old basketball saying, and it sounds very simplistic, but it's real. When you're making shots, everything looks great. And we were 5 for 22, and we're averaging about 10 made threes a game. And when you only make 5, you feel a lot worse.
So what adjustments are you going to make now coming up? You have Central Methodist at home. It's senior day, last home game of the year, last game of the year. Still trying to work on pushing into the playoffs as well. What's the game plan look like?
Well, I mean, CMU's a good team. They get better every single year down the stretch. I think the last 2 years he's won 6 of his last 7 games. And I say he, Coach Sherman. So does a great job of ramping up as the season goes on and making them a better team. Now, they lost on Wednesday to William Penn, but William Penn's clearly a really good team. So I anticipate them being very good on Saturday. Their offense, they're a very offensive-oriented team. I think they're averaging 82 over the last 5 or 6 games. If we let them do that, we're going to be in trouble. We need to be able to sit down and guard them, number one. And then we have to have a really efficient, clean game on offense. I mean, we just can't afford for another team to get a bunch of turnovers. We can't afford for the other team to get a bunch of offensive rebounds. And we can't afford for the other team to shoot 50%.
Right.
We've got to really defend and make things hard. And I think our guys are up for the challenge. I mean, clearly it's probably our last home game. I think there's a small chance we could host in the conference tournament, but our last regular season home game, our senior day, and John Harris Jr. is out with injury, but it's still an honor to him, his last game as a Raven. and then Sean Fleming Jr., who's still playing in his last game. So I think our guys will be excited and ready to play. It's another opportunity, and we want to extend our season. If we lose, I'm not sure there's much of a chance for us to play moving forward. So we get a win, and we're still playing.
You talked about John and Sean. Senior Day coming up, of course. Talk a little bit about what they've meant to the program over the last 4 years.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that there's a way to quantify it except for just look at the record speaks for itself. Those guys have been here 4 years, and they've helped put our program in a position to be good. If we certainly had success, I think their freshman year was 18, their junior year was, sophomore year 18, or maybe it was the other way around. Freshman year 18, next year 23, junior year 24, a couple of trips to the national tournament, a conference title spread in there. Now, there were other guys with them, but those guys were clearly part of that process of helping us get to where we're at. And their work ethic has been incredible. Their dedication, I think, fitting in at Benedictine, community-wise, have just been great additions to this college. And we're gonna be sad to see them go. You get attached when you're with guys this long. A lot of programs in our league will do a lot of transfers. And I know those guys are great kids too, but we've been around these two guys every day for 4 years, and so. We'll miss them when they're gone, but hopefully we can put them out on a good note. Try to get a really good effort on Saturday and recognize them and their parents. We're actually going to do all of that in between. As soon as the girls' game's over, the girls' seniors and their parents and the guys' seniors and their parents will be recognized, and then we'll start warm-ups and get the guys' game going. That's always a special day, Senior Day. So hopefully we can get everybody out there and get as many fans out in the stands as possible.
Real quick, Connor Fleming's been down for a little while. Chances he's coming back on Saturday?
Slim.
Okay.
Slim. I think his mindset is he's going to try to get out there, but we haven't had him in practice yet. We're not in the business of putting kids in harm's way. So we'll see. But I would say chances are slim.
Okay. Coming down the stretch, working into the conference tournament, you guys just barely hanging on right now in that 7-8 spot. How hard is it to not scoreboard watch basically throughout the course of the day and through the weekend?
Well, I mean, all we can control is our game. I know that sounds very cliche, but it's true. I mean, if we lose, I don't think we're playing. So all we have to do is just really worry about our opponent for 40 minutes on Saturday, and when that happens, if we win it, we're going to be playing. Where that is, we don't really care. We'd love to play another game or two. So just focus on CMU, get our game plan, get a little rest today, get our game plan in today and tomorrow, and get ready to play on Saturday.
Awesome. Coach, thank you very much
Thanks
for
for having
sitting
me.
down
It's
with
been
us.
fun.
Head Coach Ryan Moody, the men's basketball team on the BRSN Insider. Welcome back on the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with men's head lacrosse coach at Benedictine, Ben Coughlin. Coach, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
First game as a program, varsity program, 18-4 win against Cleary. Your thoughts?
Not bad. Great way to start the season, I'll tell you that. Beats the alternative. I thought we played pretty well in some areas. Some areas need to be cleaned up a little bit, but overall, good showing, good start to the season.
Kyle Tomp got the program's first career goal as a freshman. Ryan Heisner, freshman, scored 6. Remy Diakovic had a big game. He's a freshman. Talk about the recruiting plan you came up with before starting the season.
Well, I started recruiting last spring, and at that point in time, it was just, try to get some kids out. So we were kind of fortunate to have Ryan already interested in the school, and then, found out that we were getting a lacrosse program. It kind of sealed the deal on that. And then Remy was a soccer player, a little bit of lacrosse experience. Kyle was already coming here for football.
Okay.
And I actually saw him play when I was scouting another one of his teammates. The game I saw Kyle playing, he had like 6 goals. So I was like, who's this kid? We got to get him. So, things just kind of fell into place. And, and brought them all together and had a team. I don't know. It was really lucky, to be honest. It was really just right place, right time.
You get the combination of the freshmen coming in. You had the kids that have been here already from the club team, Brendan Bowe, Patrick Schmidt, Daniel Langenfeld, and then you bring in a transfer goalie like Zach McGuff, who was pretty good for you on Saturday. Talk about just the combination of the kids that were already here.
Right. Well, the kids that were already here, the Schmidts, the Bows, kids like them, experienced players, so it was really important to retain some of those previous club guys. And then Zach McGuff, I've known him for years and years and years. I coached him in high school, found out that he wanted to transfer in here, so got a hold of him pretty quickly and sealed the deal on that. So again, a lot of it was right place, right time. So no really strategy as far as like bringing them in here. It was just I got wind of these kids, and some of them were already on campus. Some of them had to make a couple of calls, so made a couple of calls and brought them in, and it's been working out ever since.
Great atmosphere on Saturday, big crowd, team was fired up. You were fired up on the sideline, real energetic on the sideline.
I get pretty excited out there. Lacrosse, I really enjoy it, and lacrosse is a time where I can just be who I am, and that's a very energetic, high energy kind of guy. So, it's a chance for me just to kind of be myself out there. It's a good time. The crowd was great. The weather was fantastic. So, it's hard to not get fired up in those conditions.
1-0, winningest coach in the program so far.
Love it.
Looking for a second one now coming up Saturday. Got Lindenwood.
Yeah.
What's the game plan look like for Saturday?
Game plan for Saturday, scouted them a little bit. We want to do a lot of the same things that we did on Saturday as far as come out aggressive on defense. On offense, we want to be able to move the ball, share the ball, get everybody involved. We want to play together as a team. I think if we can do that, minimize the penalties, minimize the turnovers, I think we stand a good chance of getting 2 wins.
Okay. Now, really an East Coast type dominant sport, starting to move west. Just as a lacrosse standpoint, a lot of people don't really know about it here in the Midwest.
Right.
Mostly football and baseball. Just talk about the progression you bringing it here to Benedictine College.
Well, it is primarily an East Coast sport, but places like Chicago, St. Louis are starting to become really big. KC starting to become really big. I know that Denver University just won the NCAA D1 national title, so that's the first time a school outside of the Eastern Time Zone has accomplished that. So it's definitely moving westward. So with places as close as St. Louis, Chicago, it's really easy to get kids out here. So the westward expansion, it's I don't know, it's real. It's it's happening. So places like Benedictine will definitely capitalize on that expansion. So that's all they got for. I don't know what to tell you.
Perfect. First road game.
Yeah.
As a team. What's the difference? What are you looking for? Bus trips, food, stuff like that. What's the difference?
There's a lot more variables that go into a road trip outside of the actual contest. We gotta make sure that the kids show up to the bus on time. We gotta make sure that we have all the equipment, all the balls, all the mouth guards. Because once we leave, there's no turning back. So it's a little bit more stressful just because you got to create a checklist and make sure that you got everything. So it's a little bit of a more stressful environment, especially this first time. But we took a couple of road trips in the fall, so I think we'll be prepared for it. But it's definitely a lot more stressful as far as just preparing and then getting there. And then you got to worry about the game, and then you got to worry about getting back on the bus. So, but we're pretty organized, so I think we'll be just fine.
What are your expectations for Saturday?
Saturday, I expect us to come out there and just basically play with all that we have and, just be aggressive on defense, share the ball on offense, and again, minimize the turnovers, minimize the penalties. I think if we can do that, we stand a good chance of winning the ball game.
What's the week been looked like for you guys between practice-wise? I heard from Pat, you guys did a little film study.
Yep.
What's a day and a week getting up to a game look like for you guys?
Well, after a game on Saturday, we want to come back in on Monday practice, really be aggressive, want to make some contact, get them back into the field, and then, Tuesday kind of dial it down. Wednesday, we took an off day, went to the film room, and today we're back on the field, and try to get prepared for the game as far as like strategy, game plan, things like that. And then tomorrow's practice will be kind of more of a walkthrough, give the guys a little break, and then Saturday back on top as far as turning it up a notch for game time. So we try to dial it down the closer we get to the game.
Kind of a free-moving offense. Scott Taylor, long stick. Chris Gherkin, long stick mid. He scored a goal.
Yep.
Kind of let just the offense flow as the game moves, a lot of creativity possibly.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see what kind of defense they come out on this past Saturday. Clearly played a lot of zone, so we have a couple of zone plays that we ran that were pretty successful. So how we play our offense is going to be based on how they play defensively.
You guys work the ball a lot behind the back of the net with Patrick Schmidt, Brendan Bowe, and Daniel Langenfeld, and then trying to get it either in front of the net or up top for a clear shot. Is that kind of the set being run or the game plan?
What we want to do on offense is we want to attack one side of the field and try to get the ball back to the other side to get that look, kind of like basketball. So we try to attack one side to get the defense to slide over and then bang it to the backside as fast as possible. That's how we get our shots and our looks.
Beautiful. Coach, thank you very much for sitting
appreciate
down
it.
with us.
Thanks for having me.
Head coach Ben Coughlin of the Benedictine College men's lacrosse team on the BRSN Insider.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Build character for life at championsofcharacter.org.
Welcome back on the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with women's head basketball coach Chad Folsom. Coach, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
46-42 win against William Penn last Saturday. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought game. One where our shots weren't falling so much, but I thought we defended pretty well. But had to definitely pull it out in the end. We had a comfortable 9, 10, 11-point lead most of the game. But then in the last quarter, some costly turnovers and luckily we made some free throws when we needed to, or got a stop when we needed to, but we're able to finish the game. Our team did stay composed, which was good, and able to come out with a win on a long road trip, which was important.
Moved on to Grandview, 62-57 loss. Chayla had 19, Kristen had 9. What were your thoughts?
Well, it was a game, we didn't come out ready to go. It was kind of disappointing on that side of it because we gave up an 11-0 start and then had to dig ourselves out of a hole, which we were able to do. Give our ladies credit. They did, battle back, and we only had a 3-point deficit at halftime, where we were down much of the half by 10, 11, 12 points. So that was good. Second half, we were able to take the lead, and then some critical, blunders or turnovers in the last 3-4 minutes, where we had possessions to take the lead or push our lead a little higher, and gave the ball back to them, and then we gave up a few critical offensive rebounds at the wrong time too, and they converted. So tough game, but one we've got to put behind us and get ready for the next one.
Both William Penn and Grandview, long road trips. First time going to a gym like that in that kind of environment. What's it like from a player and coaching standpoint to go to a gym for the first time?
Well, it's definitely, for all of us, it's new, so it's something that, you got to adjust. And like I always say, great ones need to adjust. And, it's something, next year we'll know what to expect. But, again, it's just, 3 hours on a bus, getting up and playing. But that's what you go to Culver Stockton, you go to Evangel, you play all these other teams, the same distance. So, we got to be ready for those, getting off the bus and be ready to go. So. We're happy the next one's at home, though, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, like you said, Central Methodist at home coming up. You lost to them last time, 63-58 at the time they were receiving votes. What's the adjustments you're going to make coming this Saturday?
Well, they're definitely a very, very good team. They've I think only lost once since the beginning of November. So they've got a lot of weapons. Offensively, all 5 starters are very good and can all score. So defense will be a key. We got to be able to guard in the half court. And the other thing we got to be able to do is execute. And knock down shots. Last time we played them, we took 36 threes. So that's something we probably don't want to do this time. There's quite a few shots, so we got to do a little bit better job of tagging the basket at times and not settling for some of those shots. But I expect it's going to be a hard-fought game with both teams are very good.
Coming back home, of course, last home game of the year, Senior Day. Of course, Jordan Kramer, Shayla Rutledge, talk a little bit about what they've meant to the program over the last 4 years.
Right, yeah. They've Jordan came to us her sophomore year from Washburn, where she played a year at Washburn. Been a starter the last 2 seasons for us. Shoots the ball exceptionally well. I think she's got over 100 3-point shots made in her career since she's been here, and just a leader, hard worker, someone that brings that dedication, discipline every day to the court, on and off the court, and great student as well. She's a 2-time NAIA scholar athlete, so just a great leader type person, and we're definitely going to miss her next year. Shayla Rutledge, again, another leader in that she brings it every day. Hard worker, extremely hard worker. She's had a little more accolades. When you look at what she did last year, she was the Player of the Year in the conference. She was second team All-American. She's leading us in scoring right now. I think she's second all-time on the scoring leader for Benedictine College women's basketball history. So she's put up some big-time numbers and really been an exceptional player for us the last 2 years. So we're going to miss both of those 2 young ladies, but we definitely want to celebrate their senior night on Saturday.
Both of them are going to be pretty amped. Any thoughts about getting them involved really early in the offense? If you can get one of them hot real early?
Well, within our offense, they'll get their opportunities. So, we're a team that's about sharing the ball and moving it around. So I think, they'll both have opportunities to score. We'll be counting on both of them to score. And I think within the flow of things, they'll both get their chances to shine. That's the plan.
Moving down towards the stretch, starting to look into the conference tournament. What's it like on a Saturday, last game of the year, where teams start to shuffle around? Is it hard not to scoreboard watch towards the end of the week?
Well, for us, we've kind of secured up the 3rd spot. We did that last week, so we just gotta work on playing good basketball heading into the tournament. That's what our focus has been all this month, is let's be playing our best basketball heading into the tournament. So that's all we can do. And as far as who we play first round, that is up in the air, and I guess we'll figure it out when it gets all settled. But for us, it's just worried about playing well and going. Playing with some momentum headed into the tournament.
And, of course, advantage you guys being the 3 seed, you get to host the first game at home. What's it like hosting a playoff game in this place?
Well, it's important. That's what you're playing for all year, is that opportunity to host a first-round game. And so, definitely it's important. Hopefully we can get a lot of students in the crowd and have a good environment for that home game. That'll be on Thursday next week, 7 o'clock start.
So now, going back now to CMU, what are your expectations?
Well, I expect it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think both teams, like I said, are very good, and we got to come ready to play. I think they're going to come ready to play. So, I think it's going to be a good game and a good battle here in the gym. And like I said, hopefully, again, we can get a good crowd here in our last regular season home game.
Set-wise, are you going to try and work on maybe running them up and down the court a little bit, or maybe some set offenses?
We'll do what we always do. We're a team that likes to run, so we're definitely going to look to run. They know that. And then of course we got to be able to execute in the half court too. So if you can't do, you got to be able to score both ways. So definitely for us, we got to be able to do both things well.
Haven't lost at home yet. So far this year, is that something that's in the back of the players' minds at all, trying to keep that winning streak through the year?
Well, I hope they come fired up and ready to go. That's for sure. It's the goal of ours was protect our home court. So it's something we've been doing well. So it's definitely something that hopefully we come fired up and ready to go.
And especially between Shayla and Jordan, any plans to get Shayla involved maybe from outside as well, as long as inside with the offense and how it runs?
Well, again, she gets those shots within our offense. We have the opportunities to step her away as well as post her up. So she'll have definitely her opportunities, because that's the way we run our offense. So I expect that, she'll have hopefully opportunities to do both.
Perfect. Coach, thank you very much for sitting down with us.
Thanks, Casey.
Head Coach Chad Folsom of the Benedictine College women's basketball team on the BRSN Insider. Welcome back on the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with Sports Information Director Josh Pound. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
We're going to wrap up some of the other sports that happened this week, starting with the most recent. The Benedictine College men's baseball team took 2 from Hannibal LaGrange. The other day, Josh, you were there at the field.
Really good first impression by the team, for me at least. Obviously, the first game's at home. Hannibal LaGrange was struggling, to say the least, to come in, but we got off a little bit slow, but I think they came in there in that first game and really rallied behind Curtis Marchand. That's probably the best I've seen Curtis throw since he's been a Raven. Middle innings, that curveball really started working for him, and they didn't know what hit him at that point. So that kind of gave the offense time to get going, and when the offense got going, not only did it get going in game 1, it kept going in game 2. Anytime you jump on a team, 5 runs in the bottom of the first inning when you're at home. Good crowd for being that it was a weekday, Tuesday afternoon game. A very good crowd, especially since it was a little bit chilly up there on the north side of campus. But all in all, a very good outing for the baseball team. A little disheartening to see Jacob Leathers tweak his leg. Still don't know for sure what's going to happen with that one, but the good news is we have depth behind him at catcher. The bad news was he was having a really good couple of games. It'll be interesting to see how the things shape up this weekend. 4 games against St. Ambrose, who has not played yet. So again, a good start, a good first impression for Anthony Everman in his first season to have to go out and win 2 games, and the second one rather impressively in front of a decent crowd. Hopefully that gets more kids out there when next time through.
Curtis Marchand got the win in game 1. Ben Underhill with the save. Jacob Franny got the win in game 2. Now we're going to move on to wrestling. At the NAIA National Champions coming up, we got a couple of wrestlers that'll be competing.
Got another week still that they got to prep. Thomas came on last week with us and talked about going into their regional. Unfortunately, coming out of the regional qualifier, we only got 1 automatic. Stephen Loosebrock finished second place at 197 pounds, so he's in automatically. Then we found out on Tuesday afternoon that Gabe Sudoff got in as an at-large. So Stephen making his 4th appearance in the National Wrestling Tournament. That's pretty impressive, to say the least. I'm sure the kids at Grandview that have won 4 straight NAIA National Championships, that's old hat for them. But for us here at Benedictine, being that this is year 5 essentially, but only the 4th year as a varsity sport, to have our tent pole athlete for our wrestling program, Stephen Loosebrock, to be able to say that he's been to the National Wrestling Tournament for 4 years in a row, that's pretty impressive. Gabe, a second appearance in a row for him. Didn't quite have the results he wanted to have last year. Gabe is kind of one of those guys that's hit or miss. He can put himself in positions where he gets himself in trouble, but then he can escape from them and capitalize on it. So it'll be interesting to see how those 2 things shape up. Stephen dropped to number 5 in the last the poll that came out yesterday for the going into the tournament. So the seedings won't come out till next week sometime. But all in all, it's down in Topeka, so it's just basically in our backyard. It'll be a good trip. 2 guys that will compete well for us, and hopefully they're able to make it into day 2.
Another national championship coming up in the NAIA track team. The likes of Catherine Dillard, William Wallace trying to bring home a national championship.
Well, those will headline. We've got a 4x8 going. Hannah Wanderers going on both the 600 and the 800, and then you've got Hannah Pinkerton. I think she's going in the 1500. This is because there's a 1500 and there's a mile. I mean, it's our middle distance and some of our long distance. I think Laura Benzing, I know she's going for the 4x8. I think she's also provisionally qualified to the B standard for the 3000. I think she might be competing in that. I think we really don't know for sure some of those qualifiers yet. I think they're still in the process of figuring out for sure if there were enough A qualifiers to discount the B qualifiers. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting time for the track program. That's going to be down in Johnson, Tennessee again this year. Moves to a different venue. Was in Ohio for the last few years. This is an area of the country that's had the outdoor championships for a while, and to get the indoor down there, it's another great facility to have it in. It'll be interesting to see. We have some experience. It's hard to believe, but we've got some experienced athletes going down there. Will has seen what it's like to compete at that level. He's been there before in the multis. Obviously, last year, Catherine Dillard was an All-American for us. We had an All-American relay team for us last year as well, too. So it'll be interesting to see how they go this year. I think the 4x8 is one of the top contenders, so looking to have good things out of them. And again, it's a nod to to Coach Brun and Coach Lane that they got the athletes in position to put themselves to go back to nationals again.
Now moving back outside, going to the dirt now, the softball team got to see them play against Ottawa, dropped 2 close ones in their home opener, went down to Arkansas, went 1-3.
Well, and they've been bitten by the injury bug. Their middle infield that they planned on having the season with, a freshman at shortstop and a senior at second base, are both out for the year now. At least I think Sierra is out for sure. I haven't really heard about the shortstop, but anytime you take 2 big hits to the core of your defense, that's going to shake you a little bit, and that kind of changed things. They won their opener to start the year. It's the first time we've won our season opener in 3 or 4 years. Then they had 2 tough games against Ottawa. Ottawa is going to be a very good team this year. They're probably, if they don't win the KCAC, they'll contend for it. But you lose a tough one in the first one, and then you lose your second one in extra innings with the ridiculous international tiebreaker that starts the way that it starts. That led to a 4-run inning in the top of the 8th for Ottawa in that game, and then we just weren't able to battle back from it. But I've seen flashes. It's we only lost 2 seniors from last year, but they were 2 really big seniors. A shortstop and a third baseman. So anytime you have that situation going around, and you're looking to replace a lot of new, a lot of familiar faces with a lot of new faces. They hit their stride around postseason last year. Hopefully they can work back into that even with the injuries they've had, and they'll get things going back in the right direction.
And now we're going to move to another new sport on campus. The women's lacrosse team gets ready to open up for their first ever program game on Thursday. Hopefully we get a turnout like we did for the men's game.
I would hope, 4 o'clock start may have a little bit of an effect. Obviously, if we had a 4 o'clock start on a Saturday afternoon, it was a beautiful day this last week when the men's lacrosse team actually won 19-4. It was 18-4. I missed a goal. I'm sorry about that. But we're again new sport, so not just are the fans getting used to it, but my office is as well. And then now, not only is it a new sport, but basically the only thing that men's and women's lacrosse share is the name lacrosse. You're going to see a completely different kind of game on Thursday next week when the women's team heads out there. They'll play in front of the men's game at 7 o'clock. It'll be a doubleheader against the University of St. Mary's, and obviously, we'd love to bring you both those games here on BRSN, but we're looking at probably having a women's basketball playoff game that night. So the BRSN schedule next week is flexible, to say the least. But yeah, I'm excited to see the differences and the different nuances in the way the men's games played and the women's games are played. The men's game, I think it ended up turning out to be a lot more physical than I thought it was going to be, and that's going to be the exact opposite of the women's game. If those that are familiar with lacrosse, the women wear goggles. The men get to wear a helmet, shoulder pads, elbow pads, whatever else. It's hockey without the ice.
Yep.
The women's game, if you breathe on them, you're going to get whistled for something. So I think it's designed to be a quicker game, a cleaner game. There's more athletes on the field. The field is wider. They'll actually play from sideline to sideline on the soccer field. It's no more lengthwise. The goals are the same distance apart. But yeah, they have more room from sideline to sideline. So it'll be interesting. I hope that our fans get out and show them the support that they showed the men's team. Our women's team was preseason number 2 in the KCAC, which if you don't know, the men's and women's lacrosse is an associate member of the KCAC this year. I think Ben probably touched on that maybe. So because the Heart of America doesn't have lacrosse this year, so we needed a conference alignment to give us the ability to compete for a postseason shot. And it wouldn't surprise me after watching the men play and then waiting to see what the women do that we don't have 2 teams that go deep into the postseason this year, which is the first ever season of NAIA lacrosse.
Josh, thank you for sitting down with us this afternoon. Josh Pound, Sports Information Director at Benedictine College on the BRSN Insider.